it's parent-teacher conferences, so if I have to pause this for a parent to come in, then I might have to do that. I'm going to try to pick up where I left off the other night. Number 21, it says a right triangle has legs of length 3 centimeters and 5 centimeters. And I was having trouble with that the other day, but let's see if I can draw that. All right, so it's a right triangle. The legs are 3 and 5. And the length of the hypotenuse is what? And they want to know it's between what. So this would be a Pythagorean theorem problem. 3 squared plus 5 squared equals, let me use my calculator here. It's going to take a second to pull up. Alright, so clear this. 3 squared, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 3 squared plus 5 squared is 34, and the square root of 34 is 5.8. So looking back over here, so if I c equals c squared, so 34 equals c squared, so square root it. C is 5.8. So the value of the hypotenuse is between 5 and 6. Alright, each side of a square is 5 centimeters long. One vertex of the square is at 2, 3 on a square coordinate grid marked in centimeter units. Which of the following points on the grid could be another vertex of a square? Alright, try to draw this out and try to be as neat as you can, which is really hard to do on a smartboard when you're writing on a laptop. So 2, 3 is going to be 1, and I need the side to be 5 centimeters long. Well, think about this. The first choice is 7, 3. If you're going from 2, 3 to 7, 3, that's pretty easy. That is 5 right there. If I went to 6, 1, it wouldn't be. I'd have to do the distance formula there. But as long as they're going vertically or horizontally, you can just make sure that the distance between like the x's is 5 because the y's aren't changing. When they go from like 2, 3 to 6, 1, if I were to find that distance, just for the future, you would have to do the distance formula. It'd be 2 minus 6 squared and 3 minus 1 squared, and you'd have to figure all that out. But as long as they're going on a horizontal line or vertical line, then you can just count the units because the y's aren't changing. But anyways, your answer here would be F. 23. Wrong direction. The counselors at Riverdale High School created the Venn diagram shown below to show the distribution of music elective placements of 150 students. Students can request placement in 3 different music electives: band, orchestra, chorus. What's the number of students who are placed in at least 2 of these music electives? Okay, so here's how a Venn diagram works if you don't know. If somebody is taking an elective, they are somewhere in this circle. Like if they're taking band, they're somewhere in here. So I've got 37 kids only taking band, 13 taking both band and chorus, 5 taking all 3, because if you look, they're in all 3 circles, 7 taking band and orchestra. And it would be the same for chorus and orchestra and everything like that. These 16 out here aren't taking any of these music electives. They asked me the question, how many are taking at least 2? So that's going to include these kiddos, because they're taking band and chorus. These are taking chorus and orchestra. These are taking band and orchestra, and these are taking all 3. So I need to add 13 and 5 and 2 and 7, and that's 18, 27. 27 are taking at least 2. All right, number 24. The DeLong family drove 2,500 miles in 5 days from Albany, New York to the Pui Cliff dwellings in New Mexico, and I probably said that really wrong. The points on the graph below show the family's cumulative distance traveled at the end of each day. Okay, so it looks like they drove a lot on day 4, and some of the days not so much. A lot on day 1 too. After the DeJong family began their trip, they traveled the least number of miles on which of these 5 days? Let's see. So day 1, they went, let's see how this is going to be. Day 1, they went 750 miles. Day 2, they went from 750 to 875. So what's that, 125 miles more? From 875 to 1250 would be 375 miles. From From 1250 to 1500 would be 250 miles, and then from 1500 to 2500 is 1,000 miles. Looks like day 2 is when they travel the least number of days. Whoops, that's not the right thing. Day 2, they only went 125 miles because they were at 750 miles and they went to 875. All right, on to 25. Okay, which of the following trigonometric expressions has a value of 4/5? Well, this would be 9 over 15. 9 over 15 is 3/5. And even if I put it 15 over 9, it'd be 5/3. So I need to find this other side over here. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If I solve this, 81 plus b squared equals 225. I get b squared equals 225 minus 81 is 22 minus 8. Is that 144? 144, so b is 12. So this side is 12. Well, 12 over 15 is 4/5. So what trig ratio would be 12 over 15? If I'm talking about angle A, down here it has sine B and cosine B. You don't ever do the right angle. So if I'm doing A and I want to have 12 over 15, 12 is the opposite, and 15 is the hypotenuse, and that is the sine. Opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be the sine of A. All right, 26, the expression a squared minus 2a plus 1. So I need to factor this. I'll put a and a. I need two numbers that multiply together to give me a positive 1 and add together to give me a negative 2. And that's going to be negative 1 and negative 1, or a minus 1 squared. Because negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, and negative 1, if you were to do your outers and your inners, negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. So that's how 26 factors. All right, 27, the diameter of the circle shown below is 18 centimeters. What's the circumference? Circumference is 2 pi r. You have to know this formula. You have to know circumference of a circle. You have to know area of a circle. Those they're not going to give you on this test. So circumference is 2 pi r. If in this particular one, the radius is 9. You can also know that the circumference is pi times d. Same thing, but most of y'all have learned this one, so it's typically my one that I go to. But 2 times pi times the radius of this will be 9 if the diameter is 18. So 2 times pi times 9 is 2 times 9, which is 18 pi. My answer is B. All right, 28. Which of the following number line graphs represents the solution set of the equation x squared plus 2 is equal to 3? All right, if I solve it, I get x squared equals, subtract 2, 1. So you square root both sides. X has to equal positive and negative 1. Because if you square 1 and add 2, you get 3. If you square negative 1, you get 1, and add 2, you get 3. So I need to have negative 1 and positive 1 both marked as answers, which is K. All right, I'm at 8 minutes. I can do a couple more. Ooh, I got to do all 3 of these, I guess, because they're all dealing with the same thing. So here we have a rectangular region of grass that's 50 feet long and 24 feet wide. The area is 1,200 square feet. A gardener planted a 5-foot wide flower bed along all 4 sides of this region of grass. The outer edge of the flower border is 60 feet long and 34 feet wide, because we'd add 5 to both sides. Okay, makes sense. The gardener plans to fertilize the region of grass. The gardener can buy only full bags of fertilizer and will use at least 1 bag per 225 square feet of grass. What's the minimum number of bags of fertilizer the gardener needs to buy? Okay, this is the flower border, so we're not talking about that. We're talking about just the grass. So grass, 1,200 divided by 225, because each bag covers 225. 1,200 divided by 225 is 5.3, so you're going to have to buy 6 bags to cover it. The 5 bags wouldn't be enough. So my answer is 6. How many feet of decorative fencing would be needed to enclose the flower border along its outer edge? All right, they've told me that this is 60, right? Because I'm adding 5 on, it was 50, I'm adding 5 on both sides, and this is 34. So I'm going to have 60 plus 34 plus 60 plus 34, or 2 times 60 and 2 times 34, but 6 and 3 is 9. This will be 188 feet of fencing to go all the way around the outer border. So my answer is going to be K. All right, last one. A cement walkway will be added along one of the longest sides of the flower bed and will be equal in length to that side. The top of the walkway will be a rectangle with a width of 3 feet. The walkway will be 4 inches, or 1/9 of a yard, thick. How many cubic yards of cement will be needed for this walkway? All right, they want cubic yards, so we're talking volume. Volume is length times width times height. This is, let's look back up here. The length of it is 60. They want 60, is it feet? I'm hoping. 60 feet. The width is going to be 3 feet. And it's 4 inches thick. We have to change that to feet. They say 1/9 of a yard, but if I'm doing feet here and feet here, actually they need how many cubic yards. So let's change this to yards. If this is 3 feet wide, this is 1 yard wide. 60 feet would be 20 yards. If you don't know that, there's 3 feet in a yard. So if there's 60 feet, then that's 20 yards. So I'm going to do length times width times height, because it's 1/9 of a yard thick. So 40, let's see me look again, these numbers. 20 times 1 times 1/9, sorry. 20 is how many yards long, 1 yard wide, and then 1/9 of a yard thick, which is 2.222. So let's look at my choices over here, which will be 2 and 2/9. 0.222 is 2/9. That's my answer. All right, I'm going to stop right here and pick up with number 32 if I can in a minute.